Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving deep into Symphonics.
Symphonics!
Yeah, it's this really interesting new framework for thinking about AI. But get this, it's inspired by music.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I always love a good analogy.
Me too, me too. So we've got this research paper here that lays out the whole concept, and it gets pretty wild.
Wild, good, or wild? What am I even reading?
Oh, definitely wild good. Think of it like, instead of AI turning into some kind of scary robot overlords, it's more like, what if we can make it work with us? Like, in harmony with human values.
Ah, I see, using music as a metaphor for collaboration. That's pretty clever.
Right. And they don't sugarcoat things either.
Yeah.
The paper goes straight into all the problems with how AI is being developed right now. They even use this term, snake oil AI.
Snake oil AI.
Have you ever heard of that?
Can't say I have, but I think I can guess where this is going.
It's like all those times you download an app that says it uses AI, but it's actually completely useless.
Oh yeah, or even worse, makes things worse.
Exactly. It's not just annoying. It can actually have consequences.
Like, what kinds of consequences are we talking about?
Well, they give some pretty sobering examples, like think about algorithms used in predicting crime,
Yeah.
Predictive policing, that actually reinforce existing biases.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Or those credit scoring systems that are totally opaque and can really hurt people's finances. It's like the rush to make money from AI is making people forget about, ethics.
Right. It's that classic move fast and break things mentality.
Yeah. And sometimes the things that get broken are like people's lives.
Definitely. We need to be more mindful of the potential downsides.
Exactly. And that's where this Symphonics idea comes in. The research paper basically argues that we need to shift our thinking. It shouldn't just be about making AI that's impressive from a technical standpoint, but AI that actually, aligns with human values and goals.
Okay, so how do we do that? Like, how do we get from point A to point B?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. The paper talks about these three main principles: resonance, coherence, and relationality. I have to admit, I had to look up a couple of those words.
No worries. Those are some pretty fancy terms. Maybe we should break them down a little for our listeners, starting with resonance. What exactly does that mean in the context of AI? So, resonance, imagine a musical instrument that's perfectly tuned. It produces this beautiful, clear sound.
Okay, I'm with you.
That's what we want from AI. It should be like that instrument. Systems that are aligned with our values and amplify our best qualities.
Got it. So it's not just about being smart, it's about being, ethically sound.
Exactly. Now, coherence is interesting. It's all about having ethical frameworks in place throughout the entire development process. It's like having a conductor who makes sure the whole orchestra is playing together, in sync.
Oh, so in this metaphor, who's the conductor?
Well, the research paper suggests setting up some kind of ethical oversight committees. Not just made up of tech people, it would include ethicists, philosophers, sociologists, people from the community, a diverse group to provide different viewpoints.
I like that. So it's not just the engineers making all the ethical decisions.
Right. It's about bringing in broader perspectives.
Okay, that makes sense. And the last one, relationality. That one sounds like it's about how AI interacts with us humans.
You got it. It's all about understanding that intelligence, human or artificial, it thrives on connections and working together. We shouldn't see AI as this separate thing. We should design it to actually make our connections stronger, to work alongside us.
So it's like, going back to your music metaphor, AI isn't a solo act. It's like part of the whole orchestra, playing along with human musicians.
A perfect analogy. And what's even more exciting is that the paper actually dives into some real-world applications of these principles.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely ready to hear about those. What kind of stuff are we talking about? Like, how does this all actually play out in the real world?
Well, let's say you're trying to learn something new, like a new language.
Okay, yeah.
An AI tutor, using these principles, could figure out how you learn best, what your strengths are, where you need more help, really personalize the lessons.
Like some people are visual learners, others learn better by listening, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. It adapts to your style.
That would be way better than those language apps I've tried.
Yeah.
They all seem to be the same, no matter who's using them. But how would we know the AI tutor was actually helping people learn and understand and not just memorize stuff?
That is a super important point, and the paper actually talks about that. Symphonics is all about encouraging people to think for themselves, to see how what they're learning connects to real life.
So it wouldn't just be feeding you information like some kind of robot teacher. It would actually push you to think critically.
That's the goal. It would help you apply what you're learning, experiment with it. Make it your own.
Okay, so it's not about replacing teachers with AI. It's more like giving teachers a new tool to help them do their job even better.
Exactly. It's about focusing on creating a deeper understanding, not just memorizing facts.
And that takes a human touch, right?
It does. You need those human qualities: empathy, passion, creativity. And as AI gets better, these tutors could even give you feedback on your writing style, how you solve problems, maybe even give you feedback on creative stuff, like music or art.
Wow, imagine getting instant feedback on an essay, not just on spelling and grammar, but on, like, how well you're getting your point across. That would be amazing. Though it does make you wonder, if AI is going to be involved in education like this, how can we be sure it's not going to, reinforce the biases that already exist or hold some students back?
That is something to be careful about. That's where that idea of coherence comes in those ethical frameworks we were talking about earlier. They need to be baked into the whole process of developing educational AI.
So we need to be checking for bias, making sure everything's fair and inclusive, constantly watching how the AI is actually working.
It's an ongoing process, absolutely. And it needs a lot of different people working together, AI developers, educators, the whole community, really, to make sure AI is actually helping all students.
Not just the select few.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a big responsibility.
it is. And it's important to remember, AI is a tool. We, as humans, we decide how to use it. We set the limits. It's our job to make sure it's used to benefit everyone.
We're the ones in control, basically. We're conducting the symphony.
Exactly. And like you said before, a symphony needs all kinds of instruments, all kinds of voices to make it work.
I'm starting to get really excited about the potential of all this. But let's be real. Any new technology has its downsides, too. There are things we need to watch out for, right? What are some of the potential problems we could run into with Symphonics? What are the red flags?
Well, one of the biggest worries, and the paper talks about this too, is that AI could actually make inequality worse.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening.
Like if only certain people have access to things like those AI tutors or AI tools for mental health.
Right. We've seen this happen before with new technology. The benefits end up going to the people who are already well off. How do we make sure that doesn't happen with Symphonics?
Well, from the very beginning, we need to make sure things are inclusive and equitable.
So it's not enough to just build the technology. We have to think about who's going to benefit from it.
Exactly. The design has to work for everyone, people from different backgrounds, different abilities. That has to be part of the plan from the start.
So it's like AI for social justice, kind of.
In a way, yeah. And another thing people worry about is jobs.
Oh, right. Like if AI can teach kids, what happens to teachers?
That's a really important question, and it's something we need to be talking about. But I think if we do Symphonics right, it could actually make the role of teachers even more important.
More important, how do you figure?
Well, think about it this way. If AI can do some of the more basic stuff, like grading papers or, teaching basic concepts, it frees up teachers to focus on other things.
The stuff AI can't do.
Exactly. Things like encouraging critical thinking, getting kids excited about learning, building relationships with their students.
Okay, so it's not about AI versus teachers. It's more like they can work together.
Right. It's about changing how we think about teaching.
And the role of the teacher.
Right. Moving away from just delivering facts and figures and focusing more on helping students really understand what they're learning. And for that, you need a human teacher.
Makes sense. But what about creativity? I mean, if AI can write music, make art, write stories even, does that mean human creativity is less important?
That's a great question. And it's something that's being debated right now. A lot of artists and philosophers are thinking about that. But my feeling is that AI can actually help us be more creative.
Really? How so?
Well, it can introduce us to new ideas, help us get out of a creative rut. It can even help us push the boundaries of what we think is possible.
So it's like AI could be a partner in the creative process.
Yes. And it can help us come up with things we wouldn't have thought of on our own. Plus, we have to remember that AI doesn't just create out of thin air. It learns from us. From all the art and music and writing humans have made over centuries.
So it's like AI is taking our creativity and giving it back to us in a new way?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it.
So instead of being scared that robots are going to take over art and music, Maybe we should be excited about what we can make together.
I agree. And that's really what Symphonics is all about. It's not about humans versus machines. It's about finding ways to work together, combine our strengths.
To create something new.
Exactly. It's like we're entering this whole new era of human-AI collaboration. Who knows what we can accomplish?
Sounds pretty amazing.
It is exciting to think about. But we also need to remember it's up to us to do this right. Make sure this collaboration is guided by ethics, by wanting the best for humanity. We can't forget about that part.
It's a big responsibility.
It is. But the possibilities, they really are endless.
This has been a fascinating conversation. I feel like I have a much better understanding of what Symphonics is all about.
Me too. It's really made me think.
And for everyone listening out there, we hope this deep dive has got you thinking too about the role AI can play in our lives, in our world. What kind of future do we want to create? What will your part be in this grand symphony of humans and AI? Think about that.
The possibilities are there. It's up to us to make them happen.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.